Dr. Carter. It's a pleasure to have an opportunity to talk with you today. Tonight's discussion will focus largely around time management and energy. And so, one of the things I always like to talk with individuals about during mentoring sessions is how to manage their time and their energy. Many people try and squeeze more out of their day by managing time, but true productivity really comes from managing energy. We may have 8 hours a day, but over time, the mind can become foggy and your output can become low. So the key is to align your work and your natural energy peaks. And so, what does this mean? So, if you're a morning person and you feel sharp between the hours of, say, 8 and 11, protect that window for deep, high impact tasks. Like maybe you're drafting a proposal, or if you're in the IT sector, you're coding, or you're designing something, a project for a client or for your boss. What you want to do is actually use that first period to focus on low energy tasks, such as responding to emails, maybe working your calendar, looking at scheduling meetings, or just, data entry. But that critical, and you have to find your balance of what your peak time is, what times work best for you. But again, looking at your whatever period of time you actually have, whether it's 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, it's really not about the number of hours, but it's about aligning your most complex task during periods of time throughout the day that you can take your maximal energy levels and applying that to the most complex task that you have to achieve. So to figure out this, right? So how do you figure out what's your peak times? What's the best times for you to get the most out of your day? Well, one of the things you can actually do is journaling. So you can journal your energy levels every 2 or 3 hours. So if you do this for a week, every 2 to 3 hours, just documenting how are you feeling. So what you begin to notice are patterns. And this will give you some insight in how to redesign your schedule, redesign your day, redesign your life so that you're not trying to write, if you have the flexibility, like a complex report, say at 3 or 4 p.m. after your brain wants to take a nap. And so that's the first priority in managing your time and getting the most out of your day. Again, I'm Dr. Robert Carter from the Chicago School Master of Public Health Program. The second topic I would like to talk about tonight is prioritization. So every task is important, but not every task is worth your time. So I'll say that again. Not every task is worth your time. Without prioritization, you risk spending your day on whatever feels urgent at that particular time. And it will distract you from being able to focus on what's important. So there's a methodology that you can utilize. It's called the Eisenhower matrix. The Eisenhower matrix helps you sort out what your to-do list should look like and how to prioritize that. So the matrix is set up where you have urgent and important, and these are maybe client deadlines, crisis management, and then the other category is important but not urgent, and this can be things like strategic planning, personal development, very important, but it's not something that you have to do right now. Then there's urgent and not important. And these are the things that I refer to as ankle biters. These are interruptions, uh, other people's last minute requests for your time. So you got to prioritize some of your time throughout the day to be able to get things that are urgent but not important. And sometimes you have urgent and important. Again, that's a crisis. But then urgent, not important, these are the interruptions that we'll get throughout the day. And it's last minute requests from people to help them accomplish a task. And this is important because you never know when you're going to need somebody. So it doesn't necessarily improve your output, but as a good team player, it's important for you to support your teammates. So again, these are your urgent and not so important specifically to you, but it may be important to you supporting your team. And sometimes it's just having a listening ear. Maybe that you just need to actually, someone has a situation they're working through, crisis management. Not your crisis, it's their crisis, but it's urgent for you to take that time to support a teammate. And then there's a category that Eisenhower matrix termed as neither. And this unproductive meetings, unproductive use of your time, endless strolling, so you have to avoid as much as possible. Again, we had a luxury on what meetings we're required to attend, but there are times when we can not attend meetings or maybe not be required to specifically maybe even virtual meetings. So it's critical for you to track this, okay? Because if you have an opportunity, if you're scheduling a meeting and you have to have it, but you know it's going to be unproductive, if you go back to your energy and time management, why not schedule those meetings in a time when your brain is taking a nap? It may just be that you have to be present enough to digest, but it's a meeting that's not necessarily going to yield a lot of output, but you have to do it. And also, also have to protect our time where we're not consumed by a lot of unproductive meetings, because what happens in those cases, that will zap your time. And then you'll look back on the entire day and you'll wonder, what did I get done this week? And you'll find yourself empty handed. So I'll reiterate, your time and energy management is critical. Your prioritization is critical for you to be able to document, understand what you got done that week, what you needed to get done, and what you actually achieved. And so it's a balance. Your goal is to spend more time in that second quadrant, important but not urgent. So your strategic planning, looking into the future, looking at how can you achieve your organization's goals, your personal goals, and you got to spend some time on personal development, because this work builds long-term success. And while you have to be focused on what's happening right now, you have to also focus on your long-term success of yourself and your organization. And then there's the other aspect of this. Instead of answering every Slack message instantly, block out time where you can focus on responding to those messages. Because again, that goes into the category of urgent but not important. Those are the interruptions. And sometimes it's neither, because you find yourself just scrolling through endless Slack messages and trying to figure out exactly what's going on. So you have to block time specifically to do that. And it's best to do that type of work when your brain is not necessarily taking a nap, but that may be your 3 to 4 o'clock work that you want to do. And then there's the aspect, if you manage a product and ask 20% of the features are delivered and 80% of the user satisfaction. So focus there. Each morning, list your most important task the top 3 things that you must get done to move the needle. So I'll say that again. Each morning, list your MITs, your most important tasks. Those are your top 1 to 3 tasks that you must get done to move the needle. The third aspect I'll talk about tonight is planning systems. Planning is about being intentional. A task list is reactive. A good planning system is proactive. So begin each day by reviewing your goals and your calendar. And at the end of the week, reflect what has worked, what didn't work, what should I improve on next week. An example of this is Monday morning. You block out 90 minutes of uninterrupted deep work. On Friday afternoon, review your accomplishments and adjust your strategy for the coming week. This is what we refer to as planning systems. Use tools that match your style. For example, Google Calendars for blocking out time, Notion for project dashboards. And what this will allow you to do is leverage the power of AI and other planning systems that will help you enhance. So remember, AI plus human intelligence equals return on investment. So you want to maximize using those. So blocking time works especially well with when you assign specific hours to each task. So for example, if you block out, say 9 to 11, that's your writing. Maybe that's what you identify from your time and energy analysis that's productive. And then you maybe from 1 to 2, you have your administrative. And then you have your meetings from 3 to 4. And remember, I talked about that may be a period of time when your brain is willing to take a nap. Well, that may also be a good time to engage with others. Get out of your head, get out of your office, and plan and engage with others. That may help wake your brain. Also, as I mentioned before, this may be a period where you actually have maybe the meetings that are not as critical, that may not necessarily yield immediate fruit. You can take those meetings and engage during that period of time. And the last concept that I would like to really touch on tonight is minimizing distractions. Distractions not only waste time, but they destroy effort. Each time you check your phones, switch tabs, your brain takes time to refocus. And data suggests and shows that this can add up to 3 to 4 hours of lost productivity each day. So think about that. If you're working 8 hours, 3 to 4 hours, even if it's 2 hours, that's 25% of your time is lost. So, like writing a report, a Slack ping will distract you. 10 minutes later, you're reading emails, browsing LinkedIn. To avoid this, turn on focus mode or do not disturb and only check these messages at set times. I know that can be difficult because the nature of the brain and the mind is to say, oh, I'm missing something. But the reality is that what you'll find yourself is sequestering a lot more productive time. And if you go back to the prioritization, that is a key essential aspect of that. And if you go back to your prioritization, your Eisenhower matrix, important but not urgent, strategic planning, and personal development. So think about it. If you take away some of that time that you're spend being distracted and you turn that into focus mode, think how much more you can get done over a day, over a week, over a quarter, over a year. You turn all that time that's been used to be unproductive to time that now you can leverage to make yourself better, make your organization better, and achieve a lot more in a given amount of time. So maybe it's using noise canceling headsets to block out office chatter, or maybe it's minimizing distractions. We have people tend to have a lot of stuff. We tend to have a lot of things on our desk. And then one of the things you can do is let your coworkers know that, hey, during 9 to 11, I'm in the zone. And unless it's urgent, don't interrupt me. And I want to use that time to basically do strategic planning, focusing on what I need to do this week. And then throughout the day, you could take the next 4, 6 hours, whatever's remaining, to spend time in some of those other blocks like crisis management, things that we got to get done, right? Urgent and important tasks. Urgent and important tasks, if we don't actually prioritize, manage our energy, do some planning, and minimize distractions, what we'll find is that all of our time will be spent in either urgent and important, so crisis, or endless strolling and unproductive meetings. And we won't get much done within that block, that second quadrant, which is important but not urgent. So definitely leave your comments. Look forward to more discussions with you. Again, I'm Dr. Robert Carter from the Chicago School MPH program. And please continue to tune in for our MPH mentoring and fireside chats. These sessions are just meant to provide some lessons learned and to provide mentorship and just to have conversations. So if there's a specific topic that you would like to talk about, please do not hesitate to reach out. Look forward to more conversations soon. Thank you.